Okay, I am going to start tonight's presentation. So, a huge welcome to everyone tonight, and thank you for joining us at our everyday graduate program Careers Night. So, just to introduce myself, my name is Brianna Grigg. So, a fun fact, I started at Everyday Independence as a new graduate occupational therapist in 2015. So, I've just come up to 9 years at Everyday Independence and have absolutely loved working at Everyday Independence for all the career opportunities. So, I am both clinically and operationally passionate. My caseload has always been in children and families, which is an area I'm incredibly passionate about and have always had a big, strong passion for working with children with acquired brain injuries. I have dabbled a little bit in positive behaviour support, housing support needs assessments, and supported independent living, and very quickly realised I had a huge passion in nurturing and supporting other clinicians and practitioners at Everyday Independence to be their best selves and bring their best selves to work. So very quickly found myself in leadership roles supporting a hub, then supporting a region and state lead level, and now have the absolute privilege of working in a habit coach program lead across the rest of Australia. So I do ask you all to bear with me tonight. I have just returned back to work after 10 months off with my son on maternity leave as well. So I really hope I can be an example of someone at Everyday Independence who has worked hard, had lots of career opportunities, which haven't always been linear, but found myself continuously striving to achieve more and more at work. So I wanted to start off today with the acknowledgement of country. So we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which our sites are held. We pay our respects to elders, past, present and emerging, and acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders as the first people of Australia. Our why. So you will notice this on my background today, and this is how we start all meetings at Everyday Independence. It is a reminder to all of us of our purpose and why we are here. And this is what we try to achieve at Everyday Independence every day. This is something we are really passionate about. We have been working in the NDIS since the beginning of the trial, and it became really apparent to us 3 to 4 years in that the NDIS wanted to really raise the bar and set high expectations for people living with a disability. So our why, which you'll see up on our screen today, is that we strive every day to lead and support individuals, their families, communities, and our nation to become a global leader for inclusion. Our values. So we do this by living and breathing our values every day at Everyday Independence, by working in a social model of disability and by being values-led. Our values are very much aligned to the social model of disability, and they really speak to all stakeholders in the Everyday Independence team and external brand. So whether you are a participant using our services or you're an employee at Everyday Independence or providing services, our values really are at the heart of who we are and what we do every day. We know that everybody wants to build skills, everybody wants to build confidence, and everybody is hoping to achieve their goals that they set out for themselves. So if we look at our values today, we have changed the game. So we really want to change the game for people living with a disability. We want to set the bar high and we want to level up. Inspire with belief. We really need to imagine for people what is possible for them. We want to inspire them to be the best version of themselves that they can be and set the goals that they set out to achieve for themselves. We want to champion the person. We want to use person-centered practice, and this is at the heart of a social model and really at the heart of what we do. We are all about championing the person, whether you are a participant receiving services with us or an employee who is working at Everyday Independence. Simplify and go. We are incredibly committed to this value. We want to really remove the noise for people with a disability and also remove the noise for our practitioners to have the tools that they need to do their jobs well, efficiently, and make everyone's life as simple as possible. And one team with purpose. That's why we're all here today. We want to connect with people, we want to work in teams, and we want everyone to come together with really strong outcomes that they're trying to achieve. So we're making impact nationally. We have approximately 900 employees, so more than 600 practitioners, and I know this is growing every day. We have 40 hubs in 6 states. We are currently expanding our reach in Queensland, Tasmania, Western Australia, South Australia, and New South Wales. And we are helping participants access services sooner and provide value for money with our habit coaches. So the everyday way. So this is the way that we do at EI. So I'd love to start off today by sharing a story of impact that really encompasses the everyday way and how we work at Everyday Independence. So a colleague of mine was referred, she's an occupational therapist, and she was referred to go and put in an assistive technology request for a young gentleman living out in the south suburbs of Victoria. So the referral just came in and said he needs a new wheelchair. So the occupational therapist went out and did an assessment with this young gentleman, and his goals were around using his wheelchair to get himself independently to the shops to do his grocery shopping for the week. And when they got out and started walking, they actually realised that this young gentleman had all the skills to be able to get there. He could use his wheelchair independently. His current wheelchair was actually fantastic at meeting his needs. There was a huge, large pothole in the middle of the walkway. So this was actually not that the person wasn't able to get there. It was the environment around the person that was actually stopping him from being able to participate in the goals that he wants. So if we talk about championing the person or inspiring with belief, it was a focus on removing the barriers for this person living with a disability instead of actually focusing on his disability and what he couldn't do. So he was actually completely able to get to the shops. It was his environment. We needed to build capacity of environments and support. So they got home and they called the local council, and this man was now able to go independently to the shops every day. And this is just such an exciting story that makes me smile. So again, if we look at the everyday way, it really is about encompassing a social model. It's about using an interdisciplinary team where we look at a person's life from all angles. We use habit coaches where we really build routines and skills in a cost-effective way to get more for less for our participants. We use a social model practice where everyone associated with participants shares the responsibility for changing the attitudes, and in my example before, the physical environments that are preventing everyday independence. And we use our game-changing lead tool for measuring therapeutic impact, which I know is truly leading the game. And when we say leading the game, we're also leading the change for positive change. So on our screen today, you'll see some incredible faces of some of our thought-provoking industry leaders. So as I mentioned before, we've designed the model about the everyday way, but we realized we needed an amazing infrastructure that can deliver the model and lead the charge for change. So you'll see here today, as I've mentioned, some incredible leaders that are actually leading the way that we are working at Everyday Independence, the way we are delivering services and truly making positive change for people living with a disability. We have amazing OTs creating their abstracts for the next OT conference. We have a number of people who are presenting at multiple different conferences throughout Australia, at the Assistant Technology Conference, at the Professionals and Research in Early Childhood Intervention Conference. So it's really important to us that we have great leaders out there doing evidence-based practice, collecting great data, and then these leaders are actually out there leading our teams to really deliver the best practice they can to support people living with a disability. So why work in disability? That's why we're all here today. We really want to be future fit practitioners that know what it takes to drive participant outcomes for NDIS funded participants. So no longer are we working in a welfare model. We're working now with an insurance model. So if we look at NDIS and really look at that we are bringing better services to people for less. We want to work in a social model, and that's really recognised as the way forward, where we put the person at the centre of what we do, and we look at what's meaningful to them to truly achieve positive outcomes. Investment and innovation. We're creative. We invest in resources to give our practitioners the best technology, the best career development opportunities. And we really, truly put those career growth opportunities and earning potential at the heart of what we do to really support people to get where they want to get in their careers. So if you're a new graduate joining our organisation, what does your first 12 months look like? So you'll see here on the slide today that you really come in, and you're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at first. There's lots of learning, there's lots of growth, but we really want to build your skills and confidence and support you to explore your clinical interests and reveal what change maker potential you have. So your first 3 days really look like induction and introduction. You're meeting your other team members, you're joining your local hub, you're meeting your one-to-one mentor, and you've got a lot of opportunity to interact and learn and have lots of questions. Then weeks 1 to 8, you're really deep diving into the everyday way. So you're participating in scenario-based learning, you're shadowing your mentor, you're attending peer support sessions, and you're really working alongside practitioners and then working with your first participants where you get the opportunity to meet them, get to know them, and really set out their goals and what they'd like to achieve in their therapy plan. Then in months 3 to 12, you're honing your craft. So you're broadening your knowledge and building confidence as you tap into an array of different learning opportunities with your peers, your subject matter experts, and your mentor to build your clinical skills. And then month 6 to 12 is really about unlocking your passion and your potential. So revealing your strengths, looking at your passion areas as you create a future-orientated grow plan with a career coach. And we do have the privilege of speaking to Sally Smith later on, who is a career coach. So we have lots of questions for Sally. And then month 12 onwards, it's really up to you where you want to go. So you take off as a future fit social model change maker and start looking at our 7 changing career pathways and which pathway you'd like to go down. So the Everyday Flying Start program is all about giving you the best start. So we understand that you're still learning and you'll need support. You'll make mistakes, and that's okay. I guarantee you that I have made every mistake possible at EI, and I truly believe that's how I have grown. That's how I've learned, and I've got new tools in my toolkit that help me if those situations are to arise again. But I guess what you can really expect from us is a 12-month structured program supporting your transition from university into practice. So actually putting all those skills you've learned, I guess, to use. You're getting out into people's homes, you're working with people where they work, live, and play, and you're starting to see how to best support people in different environments. You're learning what it takes to drive real change for NDIS participants, and you're a practitioner of, I guess, a part of a really big team, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into that a bit later about the supports available to you. But you will access the supports that work best for you. So we know some people like shadowing. We know that some people like one-to-one mentoring. We know that some people like peer support and communities of practice. You really have the opportunity to jump in and get the support that's tailored best for you. We have an industry-leading in-house learning and development budget, which you can use to either access in-house training or something that might be external to really unlock your passion and learn more about a passion area or how to best support your participants. But most importantly, it's essential to know that you will be supported every step of the way along this journey. So everyday support, supports to build your skills and confidence your way. So just to start off, I'm so humbled reading this quote today from Charlotte, that she's never felt out of depth at Everyday Independence because I always had the support of my therapy mentors and my team members to help me through any challenging or new situation. So if we look at Charlotte now and we look at all the supports around her, we have interdisciplinary teams. So Charlotte may be an occupational therapist working with the support of a positive behaviour support practitioner and a physio. That might be what is the best team around one of her participants. Or she might be working with a speech pathologist and an early childhood intervention key worker. It's really looking at every participant that joins our service, what supports they need, and then building that right team around that person. Charlotte gets Hub Life. So every Wednesday we come in and it's essential that we attend our team meetings. And this is a great opportunity to understand what's going on in our organisation. You have the ability to grab someone after that team meeting or book in some time to understand some of their expertise, or ask if you can go and observe that skill or understand something you might be wanting a bit more support or feeling that you could get a bit more confidence in. We have our incredible admin support who really are the heart of what we do. They're the ones making sure that our calendars are full. They're supporting our participants, and they are really participant facing to make sure they're having a really great customer service experience with us. We have a discipline specific mentor. So Charlotte would get an OT mentor that can help her with her specific OT knowledge and skills. shadowing and observations. And we do encourage that you are doing this amongst all different practitioners to learn different skills. There's mentoring and supervision. There's career coaching, which I know we're going to unlock a lot of questions around that later. We have communities of practice where you can jump in and really sit down with your pen and paper and understand more about a particular topic of interest, where we'd have subject matter experts leading those sessions. Everyday therapy mentoring, which is my absolute favorites, where you can drop in, have some questions and know that you have a particular mentor or expert there ready to answer questions or support you through some scenarios. And most importantly, work-life balance. So the opportunity to set up your calendar for you with what makes you be your best self at work, whether that's picking the kids up at 3 o'clock on Friday or getting to netball training on a Tuesday, mapping out that balance that makes you be your best self to come to work and best support your participants. So you're probably thinking, I do this amazing graduate year, then what's next? So we've really looked at the induction journey at Everyday Independence, and we've gone away and all of our amazing leaders have come up with 7 game-changing clinical career pathways. So there's too much information for me to go into all of these, really finely, but a lot of our participants and a lot of our employees have said, I know what I want and I know how to get there, but I'm just not quite sure the specific steps I need to take. So what we've done is the 7 colourful balls you'll see on the screen today. We've gone away and mapped out pathways with step-by-step tasks or ways that you can actually progress your career. You can start working as a disability practitioner. You can focus on a specific discipline or area of interest. You could really try and hone your skills in the positive behaviour support or home mods. We have assistive technology and AAC, housing and support needs, or early childhood and key worker. And this is something you'll start working at. You'll join us and have one of these areas of interest already. And then it's about how we support you to be the best disability practitioner you can be, or the best early childhood key worker, and continue to unlock your passion areas and navigate you with the skills to build your confidence in your chosen field. So it's about unlocking your clinical passion. So here are the keys. Dive in. We have so many opportunities, and as a new grad, you will be given a broad, varied caseload to start to really deep dive in, understand more, and really get meaning from your work. A really exciting opportunity I wanted to share today as well is our new early childhood and support teams, where you can come to us straight off the bat and say, I want a varied caseload, but my passion really lies in working with children, and we can be working with you to really get you into a child and family support team early if you know that's where you want to dig in and invest your time and learning. We'll identify your strengths and clinical interests through one-on-one clinical mentoring and support you to access the supports you need. We will create a grow plan with you and an in-house career coach to really map out where you want to get and the steps you're going to take to get there. Our interdisciplinary team creates unique opportunity for learning, exploration, and collaboration. And as I've mentioned before, our career clinical pathways, which really support you to build a career that you love and that you enjoy. And you have the ability to access learning and development opportunities and shape a caseload that reflects your interests. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce our amazing speakers tonight and our panel. So you will hear from Sally Smith, a career coach and occupational therapist, Gemma Stoyce, an occupational therapist, Kelly Tan, a speech pathologist. So I'm going to jump in now to introducing Sally Smith. So Sally Smith is an OT by background, and she has 30 years of experience working in a very broad range of areas, everything from children to aged care, acute inpatient to community rehab, and over the years specialising in neuro, psychiatry, and ultimately disability. Sally has been with EI for more than 10 years and is also our very in-house and incredibly popular career coach, helping clinical and non-clinical team members to define their career goals and create plans for their professional growth and learning and development. I've had the absolute privilege of working very closely with Sally throughout my 9 years, and she's really supported me to navigate my pathways and my career at times. So we're very grateful for Sally. So Welcome, Sally.
Thanks, Brianna. Good to see everyone.
Sally, I have a question for you. So I know you joined EI more than a decade ago. So tell us what attracted you back then, and do you still see those things at EI today?
Oh, that is such a good question. So, as you know, EI looked very different back then. There were just two teams, that both of them were in Victoria, and now we've grown to 40 hubs across Australia, which is just mind-blowing that we've grown so much. Back when I started, we were, as you'll remember most likely, it was before the rollout of the NDIS. So our focus was mainly on TAC work. So a lot of things have changed since we joined, but there have been some great things that have stayed. In fact, the most important things have stayed. So the things that originally attracted me at EI, they were the people, the leadership, the innovation, and the passion to make a difference and really do things better and differently. A little story about this. Before I started, I was actually interviewed by Leanne Healy, who's the founder and CEO of EI, for anyone who doesn't know who she is. And she stood out to me as being truly genuine, visionary, inspiring, and passionate about making a difference. And she clearly thought outside the box. Now, I knew this with certainty about Leanne because I'd first met her way before I joined EI when I was working as a rehabilitation coordinator at the TAC. And I used to refer her clients for exactly those reasons. I knew she could do amazing things. And I also knew she could get the best outcomes for all the people that she supported. And one of the things I remember really well is an exclamation I heard several times from one of my bosses at the TAC when they were reading a report by Leanne. And she would say, "Oh, Leanne, we can't do that." Now, needless to say, Leanne was not deterred. And because she's such a passionate advocate, she's a passionate advocate for each person that she supports. And she always stood by what she believed in, which is really inclusion and a better world. She hasn't changed, and her influence can be seen through our EI, through the values, the progression, the excellence, and the innovation. And the last 10 years have been an absolute incredible ride. So to answer your question, what drew me in was the leadership, the alignment of EI's vision and values with my own, like you mentioned before at the start. And this has not changed, and it's a really big reason why I'm still here. And to be honest, I think that's pretty significant because I've been here for 10 years now, and I'm still here. And prior to EI, I used to change my role pretty much every couple of years. So it takes a lot to keep me in one place, and I've definitely loved being here. Now, I work here still because at EI, you're part of a really positive and progressive team. It's got great leadership. It's a team that strives to really create positive change in the lives of every person that we support. It's changing the world of people living with disability, and it's a really exciting part. Well, it's really exciting to be part of this. Thanks, Brianna.
Thanks, Sal. And I know you've said now you've worked here for a decade, and I know over that decade you've worn many different hats at Everyday Independence. So one of those that we've spoken about tonight is career coaching. So can you tell us what career coaching involves and what does that look like for practitioners at Everyday Independence?
Absolutely. It's one of my favourite subjects. I'd love to unpack that for you. So career coaching is a service that we offer to all team members. It's helping them to look at their career through a big picture lens to identify what their goals are, and then focusing on the steps that they need to achieve those goals. It's highly individualised. It looks really different to everyone depending on what people need at the time. The key elements would be that it's a confidential conversation. It focuses on you, not you specifically, Brianna, but whoever I'm talking to at the time. It has been you though, hasn't it? And it's whatever they want to explore. Usually we run it on Teams because, as you know, we are a national company, so meet with people from all across Australia. Occasionally it can be face-to-face if we happen to be close enough, which is lovely. And sessions can run from anywhere from, I guess, 30 minutes through, I've had sessions that run for 2 hours, depending on what people need. And people can have as many sessions as they like. So it provides a safe space. It's a special time to focus on yourself. It's a place where you can think about your needs, your goals, your aspirations, look at your strengths, look at your future, and also your potential. As a coach, what I really do is I support people to identify who they are as people and as professionals. look at what's important to them in both work and life. And we develop a partnership where we work together to identify personalised, individual, short and longer term career goals, create a clear, achievable plan for progression, getting a bit tongue-tied there, sorry, too many P's, and a plan that's aligned with their professional and personal needs, their interests, their passions, and their inspirations. I absolutely love this role. I love seeing the positive impact that it has for so many people. I also love seeing people grow and achieve things that they didn't even know were possible. Thanks, Brianna.
Thanks, Sally. I love what you said there. I know I've often booked into Sally's calendar and said, I haven't seen you in 6 months, Sally, but I really love 2 hours of your time. And that's what's worked best for us. So I think it's such a personalized and individual approach. And Sally, I know people access career coaching for so many different reasons and different stages in their career or their growth. Can you tell us some sorts of things that people might come to career coaching and what you can help with?
Yeah, look, people come to career coaching for so many different reasons, and they come at all stages of their career, as you've mentioned, all the way from new graduate, all the way up to the exec team as well. So probably some of the common reasons that I see are that people come because they're maybe not sure where to take their career next, and they want support with identifying and designing a career plan that really matches them, aligns with their strengths and their aspirations in both work and in life as well. We often take that into account, thinking about the whole person. Sometimes it's about seeking support with progressing along the pathway that they've already chosen for themselves. They might have identified a role at EI that they'd like to move to, and they want to figure out the best steps to get them there. Others come just because they want to be the best they can in their current role. So they don't want to progress, they just want to be the best they can where they are at the moment. And sometimes it's because they've started a new role and they really want to set themselves up for success. So the type of support that I often provide people with is identifying the best internal and external learning opportunities that they can tap into. Or sometimes it's about helping them to identify ways that they can maintain a really sustainable work life, so that work-life balance that you talked about, so they can bring their best selves to work and life each day and feel fulfilled in both spaces. I often support people to develop and review their grow plans as well. For people who aren't familiar with the word grow plan, you might have heard professional development plan. So we call it Grow Plan at Everyday Independence. And we figure out strategies to really bring that to life. So it's not just a piece of paper, but something that really means something. So that's just to name a few. And I guess what's really good to mention is that using a coach approach has been recognised as a key evidence-based strategy to accelerate performance in the workplace. And we know at EI from recent anonymous internal studies that we've done with many, many people responding that it's indisputable that it does accelerate career progression for those that really want it. And it also helps people increase their confidence in their work roles, their job satisfaction, and their overall well-being as well. Thanks.
Now, Sally, I know that you and I could talk all day, but if I had to ask you just a story of impact that you could share about someone that's come to career coaching, could you tell us one example?
I certainly can. I could tell you lots of examples, but I'll keep it to one as you ask. I've worked with many people for many years from all different disciplines, from all different stages of their careers. So without mentioning any names, though, I will mention one. There was an OT that I was working with. They were a new graduate when they joined EI, and they had a real passion for providing functional housing and support needs assessments. They started doing it as a new graduate and they just kept going and they just wanted to really embrace it. And they had a vision for EI being the best in the world for supporting people living with disability in accessing appropriate supported independent living options and specialist disability accommodation. So over the time that we were working together, they progressed into clinical leadership roles. They later became a member of the clinical excellence team and a lead in functional assessments. And through that, they were really instrumental in designing and delivering training for everyone across Everyday Independence. And they advocated really strongly within the NDIS for people living with a disability and made a huge impact in that space. My support with this person was really to help this incredible person to, recognise of realize their vision, achieve their potential. And what they'd really come to me for was to reflect, to connect with themselves, and just identify the next steps that they needed to do to keep going and progress with what they wanted to do, and achieved incredible things by doing that. Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you so much for your time, Sally. Now, everyone, I know Sally is sticking around at the end. So if you do have any questions for Sally, please write them down or keep them in your head. And I know we'll get the opportunity to speak with you soon.
Thank you.
Now I get the privilege of introducing our wonderful Gemma. So Gemma is one of our fabulous OT change makers who joined Everyday Independence in February 2022 at the Wyndham Hub after completing her Bachelor of OT at Deakin University. Now, Gemma and I do work at the same hub, so I've seen her incredible passion and OT work in action. So it's a privilege to have you here today, Gemma.
Thanks, Bree. It's an honour to be able to present.
So Gemma, I know that I ask all my panel guests this, but I want to know, what is it that really drew you to Everyday Independence? And I'm always keen to hear the variety of responses I guess we get from everyone each time, but what drew you to EI? And what were the critical things that attracted you most when you were looking for the right fit graduate program for you?
I love this question, and I really like reflecting on everyone else's responses as well, because I think that they're all so different. But for me and my experience, it was actually my 4th year of uni. We had a panel of presenters similar to what we do today. And at this point, I was so unsure of what OT pathway I wanted to take. But I think what really inspired me about Everyday Independence was hearing about the concept of the social model and capacity building approaches. Now, these were concepts I'd never really heard of, but they really aligned with my values because they're all about the powerful lifelong impact that we can make as practitioners, supporting people's participation in meaningful life tasks. But not only that, working within their natural environments with the resources that they already have, and really skill building the supports around them to create capable environments for them to learn in. And that was something that, really resonated well with me. I think something else that I wanted out of my graduate year was a work-life balance. And this is something that was very important to me, but I really struggled with throughout uni, particularly when I was on placements. And I think what drew me as well to EI was learning about the flexible working arrangements, really having autonomy over my calendar as well was super important, because it means that I get to schedule appointments when I want. And as you said, you mentioned about our after work commitments. I think that they're so important, and being able to schedule the appointments when I want means that I get to do that fun stuff after work as well. So it's been super easy to be able to maintain that positive work-life balance because of those resources. Thanks, Bree.
And Gemma, we know a lot of new grads, when they join a new organisation, kind of get that imposter syndrome during the early months of their graduate year. That transition, as you mentioned, from student and placements to practitioner is such a big one. And I know that's something we're really conscious of at EI. So can you tell us what that was like for you, and what did you find to be the most helpful when you were navigating that change in your career?
Yeah, for sure. I think this topic probably resonates quite well with a lot of practitioners and a lot of people that are just graduating. Now, it was something that I had heard quite a lot about at uni, but nothing, like I'd never actually experienced it until probably stepping into my graduate year. For me, it was very scary and strange because, I know on one hand I'd completed all the necessary training, done so many clinical placements, and had the skills, but on the other hand, I still didn't really feel quite ready to work autonomously yet. But I think some great advice that I received in my graduate year from another practitioner sounds very cliche, but it was about taking things slow and really trusting the process. So I think for us as therapists, we do often, whether we realize it or not, we do often seek out instant gratification where we want to feel successful by quick gains. But I guess working in the disability sector, we're there to make lifelong changes, and those don't happen overnight. So it's been really nice to sort of know that it's okay for slow progress to happen. And it probably did take me about 6 to 12 months to really find my feet with a consistent routine, and actually just feel at ease with this. And I guess as well, another really great reminder is, just classic social model theory of the fact that people are the experts in their own life. And, we're here to provide support and be a facilitator in that, not the expert. So, I think it's just been really helpful to know that it's okay as well to be constantly learning through that process.
And Gemma, do you have a story of impact, or can you give us an example of a participant that you're working with at the moment and what's been their therapy journey and how you're supporting them as part of an interdisciplinary team?
Absolutely. I think, as Sally said, there's probably many that we can talk about, but I will also just keep it to one today. So first person that did come to my mind was an 11-year-old girl that I'm supporting. She lives with an intellectual disability and autism spectrum disorder, and she had a goal around showering independently. So previously she would refuse to shower, and she required physical support from mum for all steps of showering. Now, after a lot of skill building with this young girl and her mother, the speechy and I actually decided to implement a habit coach. So Brie, I know you're going to love this story. But the reason we did that was to really provide this person with more frequent sessions, again, at a cost-effective rate, to really set up a predictable and easy to follow showering routine. Fast forward to now, this young girl is actually completing all steps of showering with supervision only, which has made such a positive impact on her self-confidence. And I think as well, another thing that stood out to me is the fact that it's really reduced the carer burden that mum experiences. And it's facilitated a more positive relationship between this mother and daughter, due to no arguments at shower time. And I think if I'm reflecting on, the greatest impact that this has made in this person's journey, it's probably the fact that we've been able to increase her participation in her self-care goals, or her self-care regime. She's actually quite independent now in her morning routine as well, which means that she's able to do all of the necessary things to be regulated and ready for school. She's increased her school attendance as well. So it hasn't just stayed within the self-care realm, but it's also spread across to other life tasks that were really important for her to work on. And she's able to attend school ready to learn. So I guess just, in that one story, it makes me really reflect on the fact that this role, and working in the disability sector, we have such an impact on people's everyday life. And I just don't think a lot of people in other jobs can say that.
Thank you so much, Gemma. And I know we have a few OTs on the line today. So again, Gemma will be sticking around for some questions at the end. So if you have any questions, please keep them in your pocket. And Gemma, I know we'll get to speak with you soon.
Thanks, Brie.
Fantastic. Now I get to introduce our wonderful Callie. So Callie is one of our game-changing speech pathologists at our Inner Eastern Melbourne hub. She joined Everyday Independence in August 2021 on the graduate program after graduating with a Master's in Speech Pathology from the University of Melbourne. So welcome, Callie.
Thanks for having us today.
So Callie, what do you enjoy about working in the social model as a speech pathologist?
That's a very good question. I really like working in the team setting. I know being a new starter back in 2021, I was really curious to see, who else am I starting this job with? Do I get more speechies? Do I get more OTs? But then during that time as well, we have a few new onboarding participants. So then I was really happy to, do joint sessions together with new starters, and we get to learn together as well. So then I have a few participants where, I get to work with OTs, I get to work with physios in the internal team, but then working in such a large team, you also get to kind of collaborate with external allied health professionals. So you have this whole holistic approach, you know, where you have a shared purpose to ensure that, you know, what are we going to do together to achieve, you know, the participant social and participation goals in this whole NDIS realm. So it kind of brings like a sense of community as well in that social model kind of approach. So yeah, thanks, Bree.
And Kelly, of all the supports and learning opportunities in place over your year and in the graduate program, what did you value most during your new graduate year?
I really appreciated my team leaders. I know burnout is real for allied healthcare professionals. So my team leaders, they checked in with me every week, because then being a new grad, you kind of have, I guess with the KPIs, they gradually increase your KPIs over the weeks. So you don't get thrown into this whole full-blown like, oh, I need to achieve this amount of hours in a week. And my team leaders were really understanding as well, having that work-life balance. So for example, then when the clock strikes 5 and I'm still at the hub, they're like, what are you doing, Kelly? Go home. It's you can just save it for tomorrow. It was really valuable as well to have that shadowing and observing experience. So being a speechie myself, you know, we have to work in, I guess, out of the box ways, if you let me say that. So then working with like one participant who only has speechy input, I would think like, hey, wait a minute. Their goals kind of have kind of like a physio or OT element to it, or like, hold on, they maybe have behaviors of concern, for example. We have internal behavior support practitioners as well. How can I introduce them to the team, work together in that social model as well? And also kind of just see how they work and how they be that physios, OTs, and all of that. So yeah, that was really helpful to have that constant check-ins and just shadowing, observing. And we also have a lot of opportunities to kind of expand on our professional career. So professional development resources. I think Bree, EI as well, we have our own, would you call it like an intranet as well, that we can just access all of those online resources, assessments as well, what kind of PDs are available for us new grads. So yeah, thanks, Bree.
And Kelly, I know you've worked incredibly closely with our wonderful career coach, Sally, since you've joined us. Can you tell us what career coaching looks like and what this has meant for you in your journey at EI?
Yep. Being in those career coaching sessions with Sally, I would say it's totally an unbiased, safe place. There's no judgment, you know, like whatever that you share in that session, it stays in that session. Well, unless it's like a career professional growth kind of thing, then, you know, you get it informed to your team leader and admin and see how they can support your whole calendar to manage the caseload or that professional growth that you're aiming for. So I think every session that you have with Sally in the career coaching, you know, we check in with our clinical goals. We also talk about our personal goals, you know, like how do we match this up? Like, for example, I want to work more with perhaps Aboriginal cultures. I want to be able to work in different communities. My strength is also in linguistics. How do I implement that in my everyday job as a speechie? So it's a really good session, you know, mapping out what will it look like in a few years? What would it look like long-term wise? And starting as a new grad, I was curious about so many areas in speech pathology, and being in EI, it's really good because then I get to see what suits me best. Starting in EI, I was like, I want to do AAC, communication devices, language. And then I realized, wait a minute, swallowing is a very interesting area of practice. And then kind of work my way, changing kind of my target in some ways. And it's okay to change our minds. I've also had the opportunity to also supervise students who are also on their clinical placements here. So now at the moment, having mapped it out with Sally, I'm on track to become a therapy mentor. So it's been good so far. So yeah, thanks, Ree.
Thank you, Kelly. And I know we have a few speech pathologists on the line today, so please stick around for 10 more minutes and then we will open up the floor to our panel for more questions. So everyday perks, so helping you to enjoy your work every day. So this is absolutely paramount to us at Everyday Independence. So we have our everyday well-being. So we put the health and well-being at the heart of what we do for our employees to make sure that they love coming to work, they feel rejuvenated with charged batteries, they get to come into vibrant hubs where they are supported by their leaders and their colleagues and their peers. We have everyday discounts. So I know at the moment I've been going onto our platforms, getting some vouchers and getting my Woolworths vouchers to go and do my shopping where I get to save some discounts, which has been really helpful for me and my family. And we have wellbeing days. So twice a year, every 6 months, you can have a wellbeing day where you can absolutely just Netflix and chill. Whatever it is that recharges your batteries. I know I've had a day off and gone to the gym, or a day where you spend time with your family. It's a day for you and whatever brings you well-being. We have flexibility, so role flexibility. We have lots of people going on a sea change at the moment and might relocate from one of our hubs in the West up to Queensland. And we have some incredible people at the moment on purpose leave where they just have a pause and they might be traveling around Australia in a caravan or overseas, or they might be actually pursuing a different passion and then coming back to us soon. And we have purchase leave, where you might decide that what works best for you and your flexibility is actually taking more time off. So you can have more time off over school holidays to be with your kids or travel or do something meaningful to you. We've mentioned we have professional development, we have career coaching, induction programs, and plenty of learning and development opportunities at EI. So you can earn more as an everyday practitioner. So there's lots of different ways that you can actually unlock a pack at EI that is best for you. It maximizes your earning potential or your earning capacity, but it also motivates you. So we have a lot of practitioners at EI that might tap into a program that helps them really accelerate their career and accelerate their earning potential. And vice versa, we have a lot of people who come in and that may not be as important to them. It's really pausing, consolidating, and really honing their skills in a way that might work best for their balance. So it's about creating a package that works best for you. So we have an everyday way bonus that you can tap into with the potential to earn $3,000 a year. We have remuneration loading where people can actually choose to increase their billable hours and how many hours they're giving back to the community and giving back to our participants and earn more money for more billable hours. And you can also earn for bringing more incredible people like yourself into our team through our employee referrals. So plenty of opportunities. You can step into leadership roles, you can take on mentees, but really the world is your oyster at Everyday Independence. Here's just a few snaps that we'll look at of our hub life. So it's very common. You'd see someone's pooch or their dog coming into the hub life. You'd see people using their social budget to go out for dinners, celebrate birthdays. We've had hens parties at work. We have whatever it is that really floats the boat of that hub. So there is a social budget attached to every hub where people get to come and really socialize and connect of that really small local hub feel amongst a wider organization with larger supports as well. And just quickly, I wanted to touch on our Habit Coach program. So we truly understand the importance of goals and outcomes, but we know that it's the daily process, habits and routines that enable us to get everyday things done and feel satisfied with life. Now, this is a quote from our incredible founder and director, Leanne, but it's important we leave you on this note today because the Habit Coach program is such a part of who we are and what you do. And it's such a great platform that if you are joining us today as a student, we actually really welcome you to look at whether being a habit coach might be your first step in the Everyday Independence journey. We have lots of people who join us as a habit coach while they're studying in their 3rd or their 4th year. And then that accelerates a program for them to then join their new graduate year with us once they finish. So please reach out to us if you have any questions about how to be a habit coach and jump in and really support our practitioners and our participants to have impact while you are still studying and furthering your career. So that is it from us today. We're just going to leave this here as we want to hear from you. So we want you to join our team. You can email us. You can explore opportunities online on our website. Cherie is about to drop her Calendly link in the chat if you'd like to reach out to her or get her to call you and hear more information about a particular career or our grad program. So we really encourage you to reach out to us. And just in a minute, we are going to stop sharing the presentation and go live to our panel, where we really encourage you to ask any questions that you have today. So if you are brave enough, please take yourself off mute and ask a question, raise your hand, put a comment in the chat. But I know we're going to open the forum up in a minute to ask any questions that you have.
Thanks so much, Bree. We are ready to take the burning questions of anyone who's on the call. You can direct your questions to any of us. We're really, really happy to answer any of them. So feel free to pop your questions in the Q&A, or as Bree said, if you want to take yourself off mute and ask the question, that would be absolutely lovely also. So we do have a question from Jessica in relation to starting KPIs for the grad year. Would you guys like me to answer that question, or would one of the panel like to answer that question? I'm going to go by the unmuting that I'm seeing that you guys are happy for me to answer the question. So for the first 6 months, our grads do have a KPI of 24 billables or client-facing hours per week. And then after you successfully complete your 6-month probationary period, that then moves to 25.
And just on that subject, I think it's really good, Cherie, for people to realise that the KPI is over a month. So there's a lot of flexibility in that time. So if people want to do a little bit extra at the start of the month and then back up towards the end and take flexi time, we've got a really great flexible working policy that allows us some real flexibility within that number.
I remember as well, last time in my new grad experience, they started off me with like, I think 10 hours or something like that, and then they increase it to 12 and then 16, 18.
Yeah.
You just kind of build up towards that.
Gradual. Yeah. Perfect. We have another question, which is from an anonymous attendee. So this person has been working in the public health system for the last 4 years. So just wondering if there's a new grad type of program for OTs who aren't new grads, but are new to community NDIS. Lovely question. Does someone want to take that question?
I am happy to jump in there. We don't have a new graduate program as such, but we do have an everyday flying start program. So anybody who does join our organisation will go through an induction program to learn the everyday way, the social model and how we work. Cherie, I know you'll be able to give more specifics, I think, on the duration of that program and the time, but I know I have the pleasure of actually presenting tomorrow and inducting our newest cohort of incredible change makers who are starting in our February induction, and we have a mix of all different disciplines, experience, new graduates, and people coming from lots of different fields.
Yeah, absolutely. So the our induction is 4 weeks. And it is exactly what Bree was saying in terms of lots of different levels. So we have grads, we have early career clinicians, we have advanced clinicians or practitioners joining us as well. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I think it was, I can't remember, it might have been Kelly saying, you know, joining with lots of other new starters at the same time. So it's really exciting for us tomorrow. We've got just under 70 new practitioners starting across all of our hubs. So it's a wonderful time to be able to connect and learn with your fellow teammates, whether they might be in the same hub or whether they might be somewhere else. It's a really exciting time for us with that induction period. it's a nice opportunity to get to know who EI is and, really start to find your feet and work through what you're looking for in your career, which we think is super exciting. Would you be able to expand on the starting salary for a new grad? I can absolutely expand on that. So if I quote the hourly rate for our new grads, for the first 6 months, it's $36.05. And there is annual leave loading on top of that. There is superannuation on top of that. There are vehicle options that we give you on top of that. We've talked about the PD budget as well. So there's lots of different perks and benefits that go with the salary. So it is a whole package, if you like. And then after successfully completing your 6 months, you can then move to $37 an hour. But just remember, one of the slides that Bree talked through was about other ways to increase your salary. So it might be that you look at increasing your KPIs. You might, once you get here, you might start to refer some other people. So that's certainly another way to increase your salary as well. So hopefully that helps, but I'm absolutely happy to talk to that at an individual basis to determine how that works best for each potential candidate if you want to reach out to me with my Calendly link. Any other questions that anybody else has? We do have a few minutes left on the call and we are absolutely happy to stick around and answer any questions that you guys might have. I think there's another one that's just popped in. Oh, we have a habit coach with us at the moment. So that's exciting. And wonderful to hear that you're loving it. Graduating in 2025. When are the usual intake times for new grads? You know, Jessica, what's so exciting about that is you can come on whenever suits you. We have an intake every month, the first Tuesday of every month. So we would absolutely love to chat to you about what that looks like for you. Yeah, absolutely reach out to us, reach out to your team lead, or you can come directly to myself as well. Christina has a question about the first 12 months in the Flying Start program. Do those targets jump to the same as an experienced professional? I am happy to answer this, but I also am, there's lots of nods. I was going to say, I'm also mindful that maybe it might be helpful for one of our panel to answer that from a practitioner perspective and what that looks and feels like.
Yeah, so I think going on from what Cherie, you were saying earlier, and Callie, when you do first start as a new grad, your KPIs gradually build over time. So I think, Cherie, it's been 2 years since I was in my grad year, so you do kind of, time flies, I guess, when you're having fun, and you do kind of forget how it's like. But I'm pretty sure for the first 6 months, you're building up towards 24 hours.
Yep.
And then if you've successfully sort of gone through that, then it builds up to 25 hours.
Yep.
And then once you've actually completed your new grad year, it does then go up to 26, which is the, I guess, sort of standard or what sort of some of those more experienced therapists would be doing. But again, as that slide that Bree had up before showed, you can always opt in if you are working sort of over, you can opt into the remuneration options as well, which could then, there's a lot more opportunity to earn more money, but I guess also support a lot more people on our wait lists.
I just want to add as well very quickly, it depends on your career pathway too. Like if you come in being a practitioner and then you realize, I want to be a team leader. And then you're like, okay, I need to ease up my caseload. I have to kind of give time to my team members and also my practitioners. And then you realize like, I want to be a mentor, for example. Well, how am I going to balance my caseload? But we have supports. So yeah. Sorry, I cut you off there, Bree. Your turn.
No, I was just going to say, I love what you've both said. And what I'd like to ask either Gemma or Kelly is, we're talking a lot of numbers, so 24, 26, but what does that actually mean? Is that one participant a day? Is that 2 or 3 participants? So could, Gemma, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
What is it like for you in a day?
Yeah, and I think someone mentioned it, I think Sally, it might have even been you, that there's so much flexibility. So to be honest, it's a tricky question to answer because it really depends on how you like to spend your day or your week. So for me, I like to look at it, as Sally was saying, in terms of my KPI, rather than a weekly KPI, I look at it as a monthly KPI. And I like to really hustle at the start of the month. So I'll have quite busy weeks where I may have, three appointments every day. I might even have a day of, 4 appointments or 4 sort of face-to-face or billable things. But then as the month goes on, you really do taper off. And I always try to aim for a flexi day, which essentially means that you've hit your monthly KPI ahead of time. And you can actually have a paid day off that isn't sort of taken out of your leave or anything like that. So I think it's a really great demonstration of how you can really plan your week and your month to however best suits you. I know some of my colleagues prefer to have more of a balanced week. So they might have say 2 to 3 appointments every day, and that's what works best for them. But yeah, it really depends on what you prefer and what you prioritize, and I guess your values as well, which can really be helpful to unpack with Sal in the Grow Plan sessions too.
And we spend a lot of time supporting people with that calendar management. So you can really streamline your week and make it work for you. And what a lot of people forget is that it's not all about the KPI. And the KPI is only one KPI. That's the billable target I'm guessing you're talking about when you say KPI. So there are other things that we look at in terms of performance. It's not all about the money, that's for sure. It's definitely about doing the best service that you can. And if you think about it, if you've got to say a KPI, I was just doing the maths before because I'm not very good at maths, but if you've got a KPI or billable KPI of say 24 hours and you're working 38, you've got 14 hours left to pretty much do whatever you like. Like that's only 2 days. So it works out really well, and you can add that up across the month as you like. So you can do, a whole day of PD, and you've got lots of flexibility and choice as to how you use that time.
Thanks, Sally. Someone's just commented and said that sounds quite adaptable. Absolutely. That's what flexible working is all about. Do we have any final questions? We've just kicked over 7, so it's 7:04. So I just want to do a bit of a final call and see if there's any further questions from anybody. Otherwise, we will end it here, and I'd hand back to you, Bree.
If there's no further questions, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone for jumping on tonight and for your time. All of us are very happy at any point to give you a call or unpack further about any questions you might have. Feel free to jump in or connect with any of us via LinkedIn. I know Cherie's put her Calendly link in the chat, and there's so much more information on our websites and on our social media platforms. So thank you for coming. We hope you've learnt more today and you've unlocked your excitement and passion like we all have, and we'll look forward to seeing you all soon.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Bree. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.